Thanks for joining us for part 2 as we explore Michael Jackson hotspots in New York. We've got plenty more places to see, as well as catching up with an old friend. So let's get going. From New York City. It's my first day. I've left Kim at the hotel as I am off to visit one of Michael's former colleagues, Dan Beck, in Long Island. Well, got to take the Long Island Railroad out to where Dan lives, so join me on that trip. So Michael is everywhere. I'm just in Times Square now. It's much quieter than it was when I came here yesterday. Plus it's still early in the morning. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, because who the hell gets up that early in New York? Oh, that's right, me. So I'm on the train now, on the way over to Dan's. This is the Long Island Railroad. I almost got lost and missed it because I thought, let me take a walk around the block while I wait for the train. And then I ended up running to catch the train. But Americans get on the train so differently to the Brits. The Brits will literally shove you out of the way. The Americans are very single file, very polite. Oh, you first, please. Not like the UK at all. We're like, out my way, bitch. So yeah, off we go. So I've arrived. I'm now going to go find Dan. Look at this. This is very cool. So as soon as I saw Dan at the station, I completely forgot to continue recording, so I didn't capture any of our time together on film. However, I first met Dan in 2016 when I invited him to come to Convention in London and share his story with the fans. Over the years we've kept in regular contact, but I had the chance to catch up with him again in 2021 when I was in New York for Christmas. And this is this picture here where we were absolutely freezing. And then of course when he knew I was coming out again this summer, he said we've got to meet up in person again, and so I was very lucky that we were able to do that. So I've just got back from Dan's. It's always great to see Dan. Every time I come to New York, I'm like, I have to catch up with Dan. And this time he said, why don't you come out to my house and see me? So I went out to visit him. We had bagels, cream cheese bagels, my first ever bagel in New York, even though I've been here 4 or 5 times. This is my first time getting a bagel in New York. And we just chatted about Michael and went over the history of Michael's History album, Dangerous album, so many stories. And then I came back to the city, and now we're going to head up the Empire State Building. So always great to see Dan, and honestly one of my favourite people. Go! This is the 86th floor of the Empire State Building. It's the garden! Okay, that's enough of our tourist stuff. Now let's get back to MJ. And there it is, Cobra's Michael Jackson mural. Love that. I love that whichever way you approach it as well, you can tell it's Michael. This is an area where there's a lot of murals and tributes on the walls. There's Ruth Bader Ginsburg just on the building opposite, so it's really nice to have Michael here as well. We're on East 11th Street at Cobra's Michael Jackson mural in New York City. As you can see, it depicts Michael in 2 very important moments in his life. As a child with a dream, and as an adult that conquered the world. I think it's a fine representation of Michael Jackson and celebrates his legacy, his life and his work. So now with murals in Gary, Indiana, in LA and in New York, Michael Jackson literally is all over America. Now, imagine my surprise when we walked into the Hard Rock Cafe for lunch, and right at the entrance, BAM! Hello Michael, and Michael. These are on loan from Madame Tussauds to Hard Rock Cafe, and might I just say, how amazing. And so nice to have history for once. Here for it. We're now on East 74th Street to see Michael's former New York home. So he lived here during the Invincible era. And this house sold in 2018 for $32 million. I came 2 years ago, they were renovating it. It looks like they are still renovating it. Let's go closer. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. Pretty much the same as it did before. But yes, this is where Michael would have once stood. Right here. Excuse the knobbly knees. After an earthquake in LA, Michael relocated to New York to continue work on his History album. Alongside his fiancée Lisa Marie, they checked into the Helmsley Palace. However, in April 1994, they wanted something more permanent and so moved into a penthouse at Trump Tower. It was here that Michael continued to plan work for the History album release, including photo shoots and the album's booklet. Occupying the full suite, Michael and Lisa were able to take in stunning views of Manhattan. We're at Trump Tower. This is where Michael and Lisa Marie stayed during the recording of the History album. And just to the right of the building, which we'll head to, was Sony's headquarters. So Michael would call the guys at Sony for a progress update on the album's promotional campaign, and they would come running over to Trump Tower. And one of the execs said to me, this is the closest I've ever worked to an artist, because they literally lived opposite. So whilst Michael was living in Trump Tower working on the History album, the Sony offices were directly opposite. So he was staying here and the Sony offices were here. So you may recognise from your albums, if you've got American versions, that they say on the back 550 Madison Avenue. And that is where we are coming up to next. So Michael would come for meetings out at Trump Tower, across the road and into here. So if you've read my book, The Story of History, and yes, this is a shameless plug, you'll know that plans for a small touring pop-up Michael Jackson museum were in the works to coincide with the release of the album. The first location for the museum was to be right in the lobby of 550 Madison Avenue. So anyone who follows me on Twitter will know that I have random parroting about MJ the Musical and my feelings on it, and you know, everything that kind of came with it, with Lynn Nottage and what she said about Michael. So I still haven't seen it yet. I was actually here the week it opened in New York, and I didn't see it then. But as we're doing an entire tour of New York and all the MJ hotspots, it wouldn't be complete without passing the Neil Simon Theatre where MJ the Musical is taking place. So here we are. So as I say, I'm not sure if I'll ever see this or if my feelings on it will change. Right now, I won't be seeing it, but it is coming to London, so maybe I'll sneak in one evening and then give my thoughts. But yeah, at the moment, still not really keen. However, I love the artwork. Like seeing the Nate Giorgio artwork and Michael's song titles like that is great. And as I've said before, I am happy for anyone that wants to go and see it and that enjoys it and that comes out celebrating Michael. Same way I'm vegetarian, but don't care if other people eat meat. And I know that flag has to have holes in it because of wind resistance and whatever. It just looks a bit naff floating up there. It's our final night in New York and we have stopped off at Times Square for We are at Top of the Rock for our last night in Manhattan tonight. We wanted to take in the city skyline for the last time. We're going to swing by MJ the Musical on the way back to the hotel to see if we can catch any of the cast coming out of the stage door. This is the site of the former Virgin Megastores where Michael did the Invincible album signing, where he signed for hundreds of fans, and then he came out onto a platform that was put out the front, and the whole of Times Square stopped and came running over, because for Michael Jackson to do an album signing was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now it's Forever 21, so it's not as special, not as magic. I remember coming here in 2008 where the song Low by Flo Rida had just come out, and it came on the sound system, and this woman just threw her basket across the floor, ran up to the security guard and started like humping him and shaking and stuff. And I knew at that moment, I was like, okay, that was my first time in the US, so this is a different place. And then I bought it on single. And now that van is ruining my view. But there we are. So yes, if you are here, Virgin Megastores was here. And to give you a perspective, so we're now saying, oh, there's Michael. Hi. So we're now saying our goodbyes to New York after an action-packed week. It's about 28 degrees, and I felt fat because I just had an American donut, which was huge but amazing. It had like custard cream stuff in it and really nice chocolate, so I feel like a pig. But yeah, this is goodbye to New York. Until next time. I'm going to try and not leave it as long because I love this city so much. Even though it's like chaos and it's just billboard ads everywhere, it's still, there's just something about it. And of course you get Michael and all the bins and stuff. You can see one in the background there. And there is one on the bin. Oh, I'll point it like you can see it. See that one on the bin there? There. So this is the end of the trip, and we are now boarding the plane back to London. Yes! We spent an hour and 45 minutes in a taxi because we just love it, and I actually get changed in the back of the taxi. Keep it classy. Just arrived back in London and now waiting for the train into Central. Of course, there's a train strike today, so nothing says welcome to the UK like a train strike. And it's also cold, so a real smash back down to earth. I've had about an hour's sleep, even though I had a full road to myself, which was great. And now I'm going to go through all the footage and put together this amazing video about our trip to New York.